If this ends up in court somewhere or in some sort of arbitration or dispute, the terms and conditions are literally worthless. Hello and welcome to Season 4 of Proposal Breakdown. My name is Adam and I'm the founder and CEO of Better Proposals. In this season, we're looking at 5 competing proposals for the redesign of a website for a music festival. Our next proposal is from Dora. Let's go. All right, Dora, impress me. Okay, so first things first, we have a cover. This all appears to be on brand. It's got our company name in there, which is good stuff. First glaring problem, e-commerce website proposal. It's not an e-commerce website. Second thing that's a little bit strange, bit of a missed opportunity, got a picture of a laptop with some code on it. You're not selling code, you're selling a solution. Try and avoid being techie. You're not selling tech. You're selling a solution, you're selling an end result. Let's try and bear that in mind. So, the introduction is all about them. There's nothing in here mentioning any conversation we've had. There's nothing mentioning our situation. Nothing. It is literally, it's a CV. This is a really bad start, and it's something that so many of these things across the years and years and years I've been doing this, plus the hundreds of thousands of proposals I've sent over the years as well. It's so common to try and put about us type content at the beginning of a proposal. It's the worst thing you can do. The worst thing. A cat gif would be better, because at least it's entertaining. You've got to get in there immediately. You've got to address the issue. You've got to restate what problems they're having and how you're going to fix them in a really quick and easy way. It takes a really long time to get to the point here, and it's not immediately clear when it starts to talk about us and our issue. It's all really generic stuff. It's generic information about being an exciting design, about typography, about videos, about parallax stuff. It's techie, and it's endless. There's a couple of good points, but it just takes a long time to get anywhere. I think part of the problem here is there's not really any way of distinguishing when they're talking about us and when it's generic stuff that they just have in every proposal that they're sending. It's like, I feel like most people kind of expect that if you're going to have a nice proposal that you're going to be reading, it's not been custom designed for you. Everybody knows that. But you've got to make it clear when you've written something very specific to them. And this isn't clear at all. Loads of it looks like generic nonsense. And then you kind of see something in there and you think, oh, actually, we told them that. So that's not clear. And I think there's a lot of missed opportunity there. Weirdly enough, they've kind of mentioned that typography is really important and that's part of the project. And then it's sort of failing to understand the most basic element of typography, which is like a hierarchy of headlines, sub-headlines, tertiary headlines, etc. You can't really tell where the breaks are in this proposal. So the whole thing just looks like one great big wall of text, which is really difficult to understand. The other thing as well is that everything looks the same. So they're talking about objectives and then step 1, 2, 3, 4, because they're talking about the process, but it all looks the same. There's nothing visual here to break it up or to make it look a little bit different. It's a process. Is there no way you can do like, I don't know, either charts or, numbers or some way of making it look different? They've got things like a competitive analysis in here. It's totally irrelevant. This is a one-night event that happens once a year. The competition is local bars, and it's only relevant for 1 out of 365 days a year. Competitive analysis, irrelevant. There is some good information here about talking about the launch process. Now, this is a really scary moment. So this is actually brilliant. They talk about when they're going to launch. They're saying they're going to launch on a Monday or on a Tuesday. That gives them the chance over the week to get any sort of bugs and stuff sorted out, so you don't end up with like a weekend and then nobody's around to fix it. So that's really good. So what's really good about what they've done here is they've tried to reassure the person that's buying this website that it's all going to be okay. And they've done this a million times before. And it's just a nice reassuring bit in there. So that is really, really, really good. Oh man. Your responsibilities, hosting. Terrible. If you run a web design agency, I don't care who you are, you have to provide the hosting. You have to. It's part of it. It's like selling a car with no engine in it. It's completely and utterly essential. What are you going to do? Send it to them on a floppy disk? Like, come on. I've spoken to agency owners in the past, and the general consensus is I don't want hosting and servers to be my problem. Well, it is your problem. Get over it. Learn a little bit about it, deal with it, and get something in place to figure it out. There's no way you can sell websites without hosting. It looks childish, it's weak, and apart from anything else, you're only selling them half a solution. It's just silly. And to top it all off, why are you leaving that money on the table? If you're selling things like WordPress, I mean, you can easily sell them care plans and maintaining WordPress, keeping plugins up to date, versions, all that kind of stuff. That's such easy money because you're doing it all the time for multiple sites. Such a silly thing to do. So yeah, if you're not selling hosting, do it. It just looks daft. And it gets even more daft in a minute. So already they've scared me by telling me hosting's my problem, even though I don't know anything about hosting, or might not. So they've got a development schedule, which is all good stuff. That's absolutely fine. 8 to 10 weeks. I'm responsible for images and content and all that kind of stuff. They've said copywriting isn't included, so that's good. They told me I need to tell them when I'm out the office if I take longer than 3 days to respond to them. A little bit strange. Then they've got their link to their terms and conditions just over halfway through. This is absolute madness. So the only thing worse than not having any terms and conditions at all is linking to them somewhere else. If this ends up in court somewhere or in some sort of arbitration or dispute, the terms and conditions are literally worthless because you're linking them to a website which can be changed at any moment and it's not linked to this document. So if I was to print this out, sign it and send it back, I'm agreeing to the terms and conditions as they are today. But there's no way of proving or knowing what the terms and conditions were today or at the time of signing. They could get changed later on and we could be sitting there arguing about payment terms or something when the terms have changed later on. So absolute madness. Whenever you're getting anybody to sign a proposal, get the T's and C's in there. I know it makes it a bit longer and I know it's a little bit, it sort of makes the thing look a little bit daunting, but you've got to have your T's and C's in there. You run a professional company. Okay, we're getting there. Right. Your investment, this is good. They've referred to the costs as an investment. That's cool. And then they undo it all. So they've got a project fee of £4,800 with a estimated additional changes of 450 quid, bringing my total to 5,250. What is that 450 quid for? Did I ask for it? Does it have any value? Estimated additional changes. So it's not clear what that is, and it looks like a 450 quid admin fee. That's what it looks like. So stuff like that is poor. Either work it into your price or find a way to justify it or explain it somehow. One way to do this is preempt the idea of like a phase 2 list. This was something we used to do in software back in the custom software business days, and it was a really good way to do it because what it did was it told the client, look, there is going to be a phase 2. There is going to be like a snagging list or a bit that you haven't seen or can't see now, and it's going to get added to this list later on. And what we're doing is we're going to budget time to be able to fix that stuff that you come up with later on after the project. So we're going to get this one done. The project scope is clear, and then this bit separate, but you can add to it as we go. So that was a really good way of doing it because it just kept it separate. Doing it like this, it's the same thing. Just telling them in advance is probably going to be about 10 hours because that's kind of normal and average. But there's no explaining it. So it takes the trust away. They use the word estimate in here a lot. It's yuck. It's really yuck. You've asked me everything. You wrote this. You asked me everything you needed to know about the project, and then you wrote this, and you're still telling me there's an estimate, yet you're giving me a price. What else do you need to know? If you need to know something else, get another call in, ask the questions, present me something definitive. That's a common thing. Then, further considerations, hosting.
What?
Why? Why hosting now? Like, you're telling me to go and find it out and do it myself, and then you're telling me that you can add it on for 50 quid a month. Daft. Makes no sense. So then they've got a assurance plan for £150 a month. Don't know what that is. There's no explanation for it. I can pay 25% extra and get an express delivery. I can then get 5% off if I pay it in full. I'm assuming up front. So I've now got to get my calculator out to work out what the actual price is. If somebody has to get a calculator out to work the price out, don't send the proposal. Simplify it and keep it clearer. Then they finish it off quite nicely. They've got a next steps in there. They've got 3 steps. So sign electronically below. Doesn't say how to do that. And send it back to them as soon as possible. Doesn't say how to do that, but at least it says sign it. Step 2, we'll arrange the interview and phone call where we gather all the details we need. I assume that's when all the estimates get ironed out, but I've already signed the proposal. Then they're going to change the price. Step 3, we'll get in touch with invoice details to set up billing. Cool. So those 3 steps aren't too bad. They're simple enough. You can get your head around them. All good stuff. And then they've got somewhere for us to sign and said the proposal is valid for 45 days. Okay. Look, it's not bad. It's not bad. It has the details in it. They've just got a lot of confusion and there's not a lot of need for them. So if they just simplified the pricing, stopped contradicting themselves by saying, go find your own hosting. Oh, but by the way, we can do it for you. Lost a load of the jargon and laid it out a little bit better and made it just a little bit easier to understand. It actually really wouldn't be too bad. And getting those T's and C's actually in the document. If they do those things, it's actually pretty solid stuff. It's really not too bad. Overall, pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. So that's the first, on page 5, this is the first useful thing that's actually in this proposal. The rest of this is waffle, can all go.